All right, Josh, let's get into it. You sent me this piece on Sam Altman's interview strategy, basically calling him out for pushing a gentle singularity narrative. You seem pretty fired up about this.
Fired up is the word. It's a masterclass in misdirection. He's playing a brilliant double game. On one hand, he'll sit there and calmly tell an interviewer that AGI will be way smarter than us and could soon be qualified to run OpenAI as CEO. He says it with a straight face.
Okay, I've heard him say that. He's being radically transparent about the capability. What's the second part of the game?
The second part is that in the very next breath, he pivots and calls this world-altering superintelligence just a tool. He compares it to the transistor or past technological waves. And that's the lie, or at least the massive, deliberate omission. A tool that can do your job, your CEO's job, and every other cognitive job better than a human isn't just a tool. It's a replacement for the user.
So you're saying it's a fundamental contradiction. He's presenting two completely incompatible ideas as if they're the same thing. What's the end game for him here? Is he just trying to manage public panic?
Exactly. He's trying to control the narrative. By focusing the conversation on manageable problems, job displacement, mental health from using AI too much, he completely sidesteps the real, terrifying risk: loss of control, extinction, the monumental stuff. The interviewer asks him what he's afraid of, and he talks about a future GPT model being better than him at a task. That's not a fear. That's an inevitability he's already stated. The real fear, the one he won't name, is what happens when we are no longer the smartest things on the planet.
Hang on. He pushes the classic argument that technology always creates new jobs. We lost farming jobs to the tractor, but we gained tractor mechanics and factory workers. He's saying human creativity and desire are infinite, so we'll find new things to do. You don't buy that?
That argument is toast. It's completely dead, and anyone who's serious about this knows it. A tractor can't do the farmer's entire job, and it certainly can't then go design a better tractor or compose a symphony. AGI can. This isn't a tool that makes the human more efficient. It's a technology that makes the human obsolete across every single domain, including the new creative things he thinks we'll invent. It will be better at that, too.
So when he says we'll find a way to feel like the main characters, what you're hearing is that we'll basically have to lie to ourselves.
It's pure hopium. He's selling a future where AI benevolently keeps us entertained while it runs the world. He talks about how people will reject a burrito cannon for an authentic human chef. Bullshit. The market will choose the burrito that is better and cheaper, period. Once the AI chef is better than the human chef is fucked. It's that simple.
So what's the takeaway? How do people get a straight answer?
You have to call out the contradiction. Politely but firmly. Let him talk about how AI will run his company. Let him build up the case for its superhuman capability. Then, the moment he calls it just a tool, you have to stop him. Sam, wait a second. You just described something that can replace you, me, and everyone in this building. How is that in the same category as a new piece of software? What's your actual plan for ensuring humanity doesn't lose control of a system smarter than itself? You have to force the conversation onto the topic he is masterfully avoiding.
The next topic I want to discuss is the Anthropic release, Claude Opus 4.1. My initial take was, who cares? It's a 0.1 release. Seems like nothing.
Look, that's what they wanted you to think, apparently. The name is perfect because it is an incremental update, but their marketing was an absolute train wreck. They led with these graphs showing minuscule gains like 2-4% on standard benchmarks. It was so bad, Eliezer Yudkowsky basically tweeted, "Fire your marketing team."
So the headline numbers were garbage. Why are we even talking about it then? Is there something buried in the fine print?
That's the entire story. They buried the lead so deep it's almost malpractice. For a normal user, it's a small tweak. But if you are a developer who uses AI to code, this is a monster upgrade. The real data is coming from enterprise users. One dev platform, Windsurf, reported a 1 standard deviation improvement on their junior developer benchmark.
Hold on a second. 1 standard deviation? That's not a small jump. That's like the difference between an average performer and someone in the top 15%. That's a massive leap in competency for a tool.
It's a massive leap. Another report said enterprise coders saw up to 50% faster task completion on complex jobs. The reason is that the model has better taste. It's more precise with refactoring code, it debugs better, and it doesn't introduce 5 new bugs when it fixes one. It's a practical, not a theoretical improvement.
So what you're saying is ignore the dumb cherry-picked graphs they put in the press release and look at the actual workflow improvements for high-value tasks. The model got a promotion from junior dev to mid-level dev, basically.
Exactly. And there's some other important, albeit smaller changes. On the safety front, it's about half as likely to hallucinate or make shit up. The trade-off is it's slightly more likely to refuse a benign prompt, but most people find that acceptable. It's a good trade.
My biggest issue with Claude has always been its personality. It's a sycophant. It's so painfully agreeable that you can't trust its judgment. It's like a corporate yes man. Any change there?
That's the other major user-reported upgrade. The consensus is that it's much less of a suck-up. It's more willing to push back, to be critical, to point out flaws in your logic. It's a welcome change. Whether that's the core model or a new system prompt they're running is unclear, but the end-user experience is a lot better. It feels less like a people-pleaser and more like a useful collaborator.
Okay, that's actually a huge deal for general use. A model with a bit of a spine is infinitely more useful. So what's the final takeaway here? Is this a quiet game changer?
The takeaway is twofold. One, if you code with AI, you need to try this. The practical gains are real. Two, and this is the big one, this is just the appetizer. Anthropic and OpenAI are both signaling that the next generation, the real big dick models, are right around the corner. This 4.1 release is a pit stop before the main event. It's time to brace for impact.
And the last topic is that OpenAI dropped something new into the open source world, these GPT-OSS models. The headline was that they're giving away performance comparable to their own proprietary stuff, like O4 Mini. What's the real story here? Is it any good?
The real story is that it's a complete mess, Ben. On paper, they're marketing this as a state-of-the-art reasoning engine. They're pointing to insane scores on STEM benchmarks like math and GPQA. They're framing it as this great American contribution to the OpenAI stack based on democratic values, Sam Altman's whole pitch.
Right, the usual PR. But when people actually get their hands on it, what happens? Is it a game changer for developers?
It's a game changer in the worst possible way. The feedback from the community is brutal. The consensus is that it's benchmaxed. It was trained to ace a test, but in the real world, it's unbelievably ignorant. We're talking a 120 billion parameter model that knows less about the world than a good 32 billion parameter model. It hallucinates constantly because it doesn't know what it doesn't know. The safety guardrails are also so aggressive that people are getting refusals for totally benign requests. It's a dud.
So it's another overhyped, under-delivering model. Sounds like a classic case of marketing getting ahead of engineering. Why is this a bigger deal than any other company releasing a mediocre product? Sounds like a nothing burger to me.
That's the trap. It's not a nothing burger, it's a massive strategic blunder. The mediocrity is a smokescreen for the real danger. The most significant risk here isn't that some kid in a basement is going to use it for a malicious purpose. OpenAI's responsible release song and dance is all about that. The real danger, the one they completely ignored, is distillation.
Hold on, distillation. For the audience, break that down. You're saying it's not about using the model directly, but something else.
Exactly. Distillation is when you use a large, powerful model, the teacher, to generate massive amounts of high-quality synthetic data. You then use that data to train a smaller, much more efficient student model. OpenAI didn't just release a model, they released a playbook. They released the source of cheap, high-quality reasoning data.
And who is the prime student in this scenario?
China. That's the elephant in the room. We have hardware sanctions in place to slow down their AI development, right? To stop them from getting the most advanced chips. Well, OpenAI just handed them a massive R&D shortcut that helps them circumvent those very sanctions. Chinese labs can now take this model, distill its reasoning capabilities into their own smaller, much more efficient models, and run them on less advanced hardware. They can close the capability gap at a terrifying speed.
Wait, so let me get this straight. OpenAI, in an effort to look open and responsible, released the model that's practically useless for Western developers, but is a golden goose for our primary geopolitical rival? That sounds
either impossibly naive or borderline treasonous. Why would they do this?
The prevailing theory is that they got gaslit. They were pressured by the political discourse around needing an American open model to compete with China's open models, and they folded. They were so focused on their narrow definition of safety, not creating a superintelligence that could self-replicate or make a bioweapon, that they missed the forest for the trees.
And their responsible release standard that it can't significantly advance what's already out there, what a joke. It creates a ratchet. Llama 3 comes out, so now OpenAI can release something a little better. Then China releases a distilled version of this, and that becomes a new baseline. The whole standard is built to fail.
Precisely. This model's primary legacy won't be empowering a startup in Silicon Valley. It will be accelerating the AI programs of the very adversary we're trying to contain. A huge, unforced error.